And there's some video, a picture of Marianne Williamson, I don't know who this is, speaking with supporters at the Des Moines Register's political soapbox event. The Des Moines Register is apparently a newspaper in Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, Des Moines.
Des
Moines. That was a good attempt,
Des Moines? Oh, fuck me, I'm so stupid. Yeah, that isn't... Okay. Well, French is a waste of time, so I'm not supposed to know.
Well, then you are pronouncing it how French.
Good morning, Rock Hard World. It is October 15th, 10:05 a.m. This is Rock Hard Caucus, episode 122. I'm here with Evan. Good morning, Evan.
Good morning, Justin.
Is this early for you for a Sunday?
No. I typically... Sorry, Justin. I did ask for us to record at 10 a.m. today. I'm typically up by 7. Or 7:30 at the latest.
Yeah, I'm usually like an 8 or 9er on the weekends.
Yeah, I try to be that way, but
yeah,
as I've aged, I've lost my ability to easily sleep in and not like hate myself for it. I don't feel good when I wake up at 10 a.m. anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm busy later today, so we had to do it in the morning. Okay, first off, I wanted to apologize to our listeners because we have not released a free episode since September 25th. So that's a bit of a break. I mean, we usually have, a week or two in between episodes, but I just wanted to let everyone know the reason for the delay is that I have been very busy playing F-Zero 99 for the Nintendo Switch every hour of every day. So that's just the way it is.
Wow. Still,
I had no choice in the matter.
It up. Yeah, it's fun. I've played. I've done a few races myself, but it didn't capture my attention the same way. But I also don't like play games like that much anymore. But I do like racing games, but more simulator style racing games.
Yeah, I want them to be as far from reality as possible.
I mean, I love F-Zero too. I was a big fan of F-Zero GX on the GameCube. That one's really fun. Have you won any?
I got first place for the first time ever yesterday, but it was in a team battle, so it doesn't count as like a real win.
Oh, that
sucks. Anyway, so yeah, I've been really busy with that, my new career as an F-Zero 99 racer. So I haven't been following the news super closely. Did anything happen in the last couple weeks?
Yeah, unfortunately things have happened in the last couple of weeks. You're lucky. Awful. Actually. You're really lucky. F-Zero GX or F-Zero 99 is preferable to much of the news right now.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to play video games than to be aware of world politics and the war breaking out on the apartheid occupied people.
And having to feel somewhat complicit for it as a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
It's deep.
I was talking to someone yesterday about how we just have to live with the knowledge that the government that purports to represent us is endorsing and funding a genocide in our name, and there's nothing we can do to stop them.
Yeah, well, and the difference on this one is that this one gets a lot of media coverage. The U.S. has been doing this for our entire lives.
Right.
And
of
before
course,
that,
it's. I mean, we wouldn't be here without
fucking wild,
ongoing genocidal colonial projects, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would rather that the liberal people who are cheering on genocide were quiet about the other genocide or this genocide as they have been about other genocides instead of cheering it on. But
I guess saying nothing is preferable to a lot of this. It
really is, to be honest. But what you should be saying is you support the liberation of Palestine.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Horrible shit. And I was just looking into, so I mean, BDS is not illegal in Iowa, but they the state of Iowa won't do any business with any companies that are engaged in any sort of boycott of Israeli products as of I think just last year, 2022 is when that was signed into law. And the definition of anti-Semitism that has been signed into Iowa law includes basically any criticism and any implication that the state of Israel is racist. Like that is a legal definition of anti-Semitism in the state of Iowa.
It's so insidious. Just like all Jews apparently speak for Israel now. Like a lot of people pointed out that's like anti-Semitic in itself.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's like not every. Actually, I don't even know. Isn't it like 50-50 for like Jewish people in America, at least, as far as like supporting Israel? Like there's not being Jewish.
I don't know the
in America
stats on it, but yeah. There's a big generational difference in it too. Like younger Jewish people tend to be less supportive of Israel than older folks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's also part of the definition of anti-Semitism, which, whatever, we don't need to get super into that. But another part of that definition is holding all Jewish people responsible for the actions of the state of Israel. Like including that in your definition of anti-Semitism seems to suggest that the state of Israel is doing bad things, right?
Yeah. There was a crazy piece that got posted in Bleeding Heartland. Well, there's been multiple crazy pieces posted on Bleeding Heartland regarding this, and one of them was by I think we've read this guy before, but he's a Bronx in Iowa. Yeah, he had a really, really great article that was like, America is mentally ill. It needs treatment, which basically means like we need to like vote for Democrats because they're the mentally sound ones. Yeah, that's the treatment.
Yeah.
But this
I
article
believe we did
was basically
read that one on the show a long time ago.
This article was basically like, who will speak for us? And it's does admit to a lot of things that Israel has done, but then it's like, well, they literally were like, man, I want to find it, but it was like Germany and Rwanda have also committed horrible atrocities, but the international community has come to their defense. And it's like, just like admitting that what Israel is doing is similar to Rwanda or Nazi Germany.
Right.
And then like crying because people are still pointing it out because it's like still ongoing. And those other things happened like at least several decades ago.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention that Israel is also receiving the support of most of the international community as they do this. You're complaining about just
Western
like
governments,
a few people who criticize that, who have no power. Like nobody who can do anything to influence what's going to happen here is against what Israel's doing. Like it just gives them free reign. Like do what you will with our money.
Yeah, it's just bizarre, and it reminds me like how the average American is just like so inundated with propaganda that they like there's just like no way for like the average person to like grasp this stuff because there's just such like context missing from like any of the reporting that's done. It's like they can report on specific things that have happened that are factually true, but that doesn't mean that you're like actually able to understand, or like the average person is able to understand, because they leave out like the entire like 75-year history of the occupation of Palestine.
Right. Yeah.
And it's wild. I don't know, like the misinformation stuff. There's like people going crazy about like all the posts on Twitter where people are posting videos and are like mislabeled or completely misleading, which is like, of course that's going to happen. It's like it's built into the internet ecosystem.
Yeah.
But then it's like there's no misinformation reporting about what the actual president of the United States says or what Benjamin Netanyahu says or any Israeli officials. And if they do lie and they come back and they say, well, actually this wasn't true, then it's like there's nothing. There's no new articles written about, oh, like all this stuff that we said was happening actually didn't happen.
Yeah, there was like a CNN person who repeated the like Hamas committed, these atrocities that there was no like actual evidence for. And like I think her only retraction was that she tweeted that the like hadn't actually been confirmed.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's a little too late. Like not that the actions of civilians are being killed, by Hamas, and like that's bad, right? But you're just like ramping it up to you're just making shit up to make it seem worse and worse to justify what's going to follow.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like, how many times do you have to say that killing civilians is bad? Like, is there like really a big like pro killing civilian like contingent out there? Like, It's fucking scary. Like, I honestly, it just makes me feel insane. But at least there's people out there who are thinking the same way, but that doesn't do anything. Like
no, like no one who could stop what's coming or is happening right now gives a fuck what we're saying right now. Like the only potential consequences of us having this conversation is someone's gonna get me fired.
Right.
Anyway, we should talk about something a little more frivolous. The presidential election.
Yeah.
The United States presidential election. Not too long ago, this was October 7th. Donald Trump, our previous president and very possibly next president, he had a rally.
Never heard of him.
He had a rally in our hometown, Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And my brother-in-law was watching the video of this event and sent me a couple of clips that were very funny. First of all, this is like, he plays this music a lot, but this is how the rally began. He loves opening up with like the gay anthem, Macho Man. Totally without any irony. He's just a Village People fan.
Yeah.
So this is very Iowa, this first clip I'm going to play. He's shouting out a couple of his Iowan GOP supporters.
And somebody that was, I think in the whole country, he was my first endorser. And I love those endorsers when they're early. When they're late, they're okay too, but it'll never be the same. It can never be the same.
He's like slurring more, it sounds like, right? Like the way he's speaking.
Yeah, he's... I imagine that he gets a nice little cocktail, similar to Joe Biden. They get a nice little pick-me-up. You gotta get something to speed you up so you can like do public speaking, but also something to slow you down, a little speedball.
Right, you don't want to be too. You don't want to speak too rapidly. Yeah.
You don't want Trump. He's got to have a natural Trumpian flow to his weird remarks.
Yeah, you got to get the tempo and the rhythm just right.
But he was the first in the whole country, and he wanted Trump, and he said, "You're going to do a job," and he's a fantastic guy. Brad Zahn. Brad.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Brad. What a guy. Looks like, I call him the Marlboro Man, a handsome guy. And another great friend of mine.
So you know what Brad Zahn looks like, right, Evan?
Yeah, he's not that handsome.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have, that wouldn't be the first thing that came to mind for me, the Marlboro Man.
No, he looks like, he looks like he is, like a football player from like the early 60s who was like 19 and then like aged like 40 years but looks like exactly the same as he did back then.
Yeah, I've said similar things about him before. He's like a 13-year-old boy who suddenly became an old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, for anyone who's listening who does not know, Brad Zahn, it's Zaun. Look him up and know that Donald Trump refers to him as the Marlboro Man, which is also a very outdated reference, I think, right? Like cigarettes don't even really have advertisements anymore.
They don't. But the people who are like loyal Marlboro smokers were like, yes,
fuck
he's on our side. Yes.
The ideal of masculine handsomeness, the Marlboro Man.
For sure. Yeah. Cowboys only.
And it should also be noted that Brad Zahn has a history of like harassing his ex-girlfriends and shit.
Oh,
much like the Marlboro Man. Here's another shout out that Trump threw out during his rally.
Anybody ever heard of him yet? Remember Rush Limbaugh? Rush? Go, Barack Hussein Obama, remember? Barack Hussein Obama. I withdrew from Barack Hussein Obama's horrendous Trans-Pacific Partnership. Would have been a disaster.
All right. Remember Rush Limbaugh? Yeah,
man. He's just really playing the hits for these boomers. Like Marlboro, fucking Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah,
reminds them of a time gone by.
Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah, they're even nostalgic for Barack Hussein Obama now.
Right? Yeah. Remember when we had a guy that we could make fun of his name so easily? Remember when the president had a funny name? All right, one more clip I want to play from this.
Okay? That's what they're doing. These people are crazy. They're crazy. And they want your trucks. I'm meeting with the trucking industry next week. They want your big trucks. They take these loads so big. And, you know.
They take these loads so big. Oh, boy. Yeah, he's talking about like electric vehicles in that segment. And the people, they're coming after your big trucks that take big loads. Liberals don't want you to take loads so big anymore. They want you to take small loads, little loads.
Man, he's hitting all the high points. Big trucks, Marlboro, Rush Limbaugh. He's like, it's like bring back OxyContin. Like that would also go over well.
Yeah. This guy Vivek, he's coming after my base. He thinks he can pander to these people. Well, I'll show you fucking pandering.
Yeah,
remember Rush Limbaugh? Big trucks.
He did not
say
rest in. He didn't say rest in peace, though. He didn't acknowledge that we've lost one of America's greatest thinkers.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but he moved on pretty quick from Rush Limbaugh. He really just wanted an excuse to say Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah.
And he wanted the cheap pop of a crowd of idiots cheering because they heard the name Rush Limbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wonder if, does he remember that guy's dead or not?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, another thing I thought we could talk about today, I've got a couple stories of campus madness. I live in a college town, of course, so I'm subjected to campus madness from time to time. These college kids, they want to take away my free speech and all that, and I won't stand for it. There's something happening at the University of Iowa this week, tomorrow actually, which is, the 16th. A detransitioner, an anti-trans activist person named Chloe Cole is going to be visiting, with the invitation, of course, of the YAF, Young Americans for Freedom chapter at the university. Do you know who Chloe Cole is? I was not really familiar with her.
I was not, but I did skim through the article that you're going to read.
Yeah.
And she's 19 years old, which is interesting.
Yeah, this is, we can talk about how the Gazette paints a picture of her. This is by Vanessa Miller at the Cedar Rapids Gazette. Headline is Protest Planned for Detransitioner Chloe Cole Lecture at University of Iowa. Yes, a 19-year-old is giving us a lecture about gender affirming care for minors. Vanessa writes, protests are expected next week on the University of Iowa campus when a conservative student organization plans to host a lecture from a teenage activist who, quote, vehemently opposes the transition of minors. She's 19 and she had some sort of trans experience at the age of 12. They don't super get into the details here. It says she said she took puberty suppressants and cross-sex hormones at 13 and underwent a double mastectomy at 15 before changing her mind at the age of 16. And now she travels the country speaking out against any of this kind of thing for minors. I have not done much research on this, but I have been told that the care that she received as a teenager is not aligned with what is now agreed upon as like the correct, procedure and, gender affirming care for someone of that age. So, first of all, the state of Iowa has passed laws against any of this for minors. Mm-hmm. So that this is not a place where, you need to really be advocating for this position because it's already the law. Second of all, what happened to her is not like what doctors say is good. So like it's not something that's going to happen anyway. Like the medical community is against it.
Even if it was like something that was like approved by the medical community, it's still like an edge case situation.
Yeah.
Where the vast majority of people who were to go on treatment for that would not start going on speaking tours.
Well, of course,
how bad it sucked.
Yeah. And I mean, if you spend like a few seconds thinking about either end of this, like, is it more likely that somebody who does not need this medical intervention, is it more likely that someone who doesn't need or want that is going to get it? Or is it more likely that somebody who does need something like this is not going to be able to get it because of how our state government has like inserted itself in the way of someone being able to access that care? Obviously, it's the latter is more likely, right?
Mm-hmm. And then also, of course, just the like media, like cultural environment where it's like, it's not like there's a lot of, for better, for worse probably, but like there's not like a lot of parents who are like encouraging their kids to pursue this kind of treatment. And there's a lot of fucking parents who would be like freaking the fuck out if this was ever discussed and
even suggested, yeah.
And this obviously is just like straight propaganda for those kind of people. So they're like questioning their own children when they come to them with stuff like this. Who's Young Americans for Freedom? Is there any other groups involved in this?
I don't think so. YAF is like the most active conservative group, I think, at the school. They also are the ones who brought Matt Walsh around last in the spring. So this is like this is their favorite thing right now, is just triggering all of the gender libs in Iowa City. Like, I mean, that's obviously the motivation here, is just like, let's bring the most transgressive people, no pun intended, to campus to piss off anyone who thinks that there's more than two genders or whatever, They're just, they want people to be mad. That's what they love.
What if she changes her mind again?
Right. Yeah. I mean, she should be allowed to, of course. She's still very young, so,
Yeah. Well, I imagine it's a lot harder to change your mind again after you've had like all these people blowing smoke up your ass and gassing you up and parading you around.
Yeah, true. Yeah, she's just digging her heels in even more on this stuff. So what I really wanted to get to in this article is the YAF people fucking whining, which is what they do every time. Like, they're intentionally being provocative. They know that if they irritate the lefty liberal kids that go to school with them, that's going to get them more attention. But when it happens, they complain every time. Like, here. Immediately after they began advertising the Chloe Cole event, their promotions disappeared, according to the chair of the YAF chapter. And this is a quote from her. Her name's Jasmine Jordan. The Young Americans for Freedom chapter received immediate backlash over this event within an hour of announcement, including chalk advertisements being washed away within minutes by groups of students, Jordan told the Gazette. Our A-frame poster display was run over and stolen by students. Our posters were tore down within hours of being put up. So they wrote like chalk on the sidewalk to advertise the event, and some students who thought that this was fucked up like washed it away. It's like, okay,
oh my god,
like it's chalk. That's gonna happen, right? The sign being run over thing is funny too, because like, do you have the article pulled up?
Oh, I don't right now.
Here, let me just show it to you. This is the actual YAF like Twitter account, like the national organization is sharing this stuff. It's like, Well, they said someone stole it and ran it over, but then they have a picture of it with the tire tread marks on it. So it was run over and then returned to you?
Yeah, and that tire tread is very, very right down the middle.
Yeah.
Makes you think.
I mean, it's totally possible that, like, maybe it,
the sign
like,
looks fine, by the way, too. Like, you could still put that up.
Right. Maybe it inadvertently ended up, like, in the street. Because that first picture, like, where it's shown there, like, that's just a few feet away from the road. So maybe, maybe someone threw it out in the road because they hated it. But maybe this is just something that happened. And this is very fun, too. When asked if the university has received complaints from the student group or about the event, UI spokeswoman Janine Beck said, "The university routinely works with student groups to ensure they are aware of and follow the policies and procedures related to counter demonstrations, as well as comply with federal, state, and local law." And that's because, this is how the Gazette puts it, a group identifying itself as Antifa Hawkeye Action, which reports on social media its aim to protest right-wing events on campus, has promoted its own counter plans for the event with signs that read "No transphobes on campus." And that's like all the information they have about Antifa Hawkeye Action, which is just like a Twitter account.
Yeah.
Like, they could have maybe reached out to that person for comment as well, but they seem to only talk to one side of this equation.
The real victims.
Yeah, because their posters got torn down. Look, it's a jungle out there when you're putting up posters advertising stuff. Like,
yeah, people just put shit right over the top of it. Like,
yeah, sometimes within minutes, and sometimes someone will put like white supremacist stickers over your shit.
Yeah, sometimes they'll do that.
Yeah.
And then they'll hide. What was that guy who like ran into like another, or it was like a WeWork or something that he was like identified as putting, that was like several years ago, but he
the
just
Pepe
like
sweatshirt guy.
Yeah, he like hid inside a closed WeWork that he had the access key.
It's called Merge in Iowa City. It is like a shared workspace building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is right next to the playground on the Iowa City Ped Mall, and that guy is a registered sex offender because he had child pornography found on a computer, which was found because he was being investigated for illegal gambling.
Yeah,
that was a really
we
crazy
talked about
story.
This on the show. Yeah, we've talked about this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're not sending their best.
Okay, and then so they get into, in the article here, the free speech concerns, which is, people erasing the chalk advertisements for your event is an assault upon your free speech rights. And this has been, since 2020, the Iowa Board of Regents, which is all a bunch of conservative people appointed by our Republican government, I would allege, in exchange for large campaign donations. Bruce Rastetter.
Yeah.
He's no longer on the board, but, that's how he got on the board for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, since 2020, the Board of Regents has taken it upon themselves to defend the free speech rights of conservatives on state campuses. And they make employees take I think yearly training on free speech, which the first time I streamed live on our Twitch, and it is pathetic. It is like,
you learned a lot.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Fully prepared to protect free speech.
So they're basically suggesting in this article that here, to the question, there's an FAQ on the university's free speech guidance. And one of the frequently asked questions is whether a person can erase or chalk over messaging I find offensive. And the university says no. So that those students were actually violating the free speech rights of the Young Americans for Freedom by washing away their chalk advertisement. Jordan told the Gazette, that's again the chair of the YAF chapter, she did file a police report October 2nd about the damaged and stolen sign. And I'll again remind you, they say it's stolen, but they have a photo of it with tire tread marks on it. She also contacted UI administrators who she said indicated that they are in the process of identifying the students and each involved will be punished. So they're going to punish students for washing away chalk, and someone ran over a sign. I doubt they have any evidence of the sign being run over, but they may have had cameras pointed at the chalk. I don't know.
Is there like a permit for the chalk? Like, is it just like if you write something first and other people find it offensive, then like they can't erase it? Do they just have to find their own other piece of sidewalk that they can put their own contradictory free speech message on?
Yeah, there's plenty of sidewalk around Iowa City, so, put your message anywhere and hope it doesn't rain, because rain is absolutely the enemy of speech.
Yeah. I would think if I was like pushing something controversial, which I guess many people would consider our show to be controversial, like I would like expect that people are going to probably like not necessarily like it. Some people are not going to like it, and then like expect that maybe they're going to spray my chalk off. Like, this for sure. It's like it's just whiny.
Yeah, they're just whining. I mean, they love the negative attention. Otherwise, they wouldn't keep doing things like this. Yeah. But it makes me wonder, like, where the line is for university free speech policies. Like, I mean,
I'm sure you
Matt
could
Walsh,
test that right now. I'm sure you could test some of that right now. I'm
if
sure.
I really want to press the limits,
There's a lot of articles about what students are doing on campuses right now, and they're not very approving. Talking about the Israel-Palestine stuff, they're like all these people are like condemning any protests.
Was that Harvard? Was that at Harvard?
Harvard. There was a whole group of Harvard students who wrote a letter, and then these like hedge fund guys were like, "Please provide a list of people who wrote this letter so we can never hire them." Yeah,
right. Yeah, let's blacklist anyone who supports Palestine in any way.
That's protected by the Constitution, though. You can say what you want, but you can get fired for it. No big deal.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know a lot about this Chloe Cole person, but Matt Walsh, who they had visit campus a few months ago, he said like absolutely repugnant things, like about 15-year-old girls being like the most fertile or something. And I mean, he's like pretty much openly called for the death of trans people. So like if I was to write a Matt Walsh quote on the sidewalk that is like inciting hatred and death towards a certain group of people, is that protected? Would I like not be allowed to wash that off? I'm gonna bring up the frequently asked questions, and we'll just Control F swastika. See if there's they don't have any exceptions for swastikas or anything like that. So I have to assume if a student group, the University of Iowa chapter of the let's say the National Socialists of Iowa City, if they were to put down some advertisements on the sidewalk, I have to imagine that would be protected as well, and anyone who tried to suppress their speech would be punished, right?
So there's nothing about like hate speech at all either. Like that seems crazy.
I don't know where the line is. Let's see.
Yeah, this is like some shit that lawyers pour over.
Oh hell!
It'd be surprising if they didn't have something like that.
Here, the third question on the frequently asked questions is hate speech, and that is surrounded by quotes. Hate speech protected by the First Amendment. Answer: yes. The First Amendment protects speech that may be hateful, offensive, or inconsistent with the university's values. The best response to speech the listener finds offensive is counter speech.
Okay, so you got to find your own patch of sidewalk. Now, if it's in a like less traveled location, and it's not really fair, but
like, what if how
it's just gibberish?
Like on like a fast food, like a sign that they have in the parking lot, you can like rearrange the letters to like spell bad words and shit. What if you were to like alter a chalk advertisement to make it say something else, sort of like a vandalism type of thing? Although, I mean, at what point do they consider the chalk writing to be vandalism?
Yeah, it's like, on public grounds. Like,
yeah, because
I guess it's vandalism in the first place, really.
Right, isn't it? Yeah, this is university land.
That's why I said, like, do they have permits? Like, and that's like, yeah, like the Constitution protects free speech. I'm like not, I don't have a problem with that. But like, the university doesn't have to tolerate any of this shit if they don't want to. It's a choice.
Yeah. Can the university limit protected speech activities? Yes, but the limitations must be reasonable and not based on viewpoint or content. They can regulate the time, place, and manner of free speech and expressive activities. Is chalking permitted? Yeah, let's get the specifics on this. Is chalking permitted on campus sidewalks? Yes, chalking is a means of expression permitted on campus sidewalks, subject to viewpoint-neutral time, place, and manner restrictions outlined in Chapter 35 of the University Operations Manual. For example, you must use water-soluble chalk only on flat, horizontal sidewalks that are open to the elements. So you can't even intentionally avoid the parts that are going to be rained on. Do not use chalk on any vertical or non-sidewalk surfaces. Overwriting, erasing, defacing, or altering existing chalking is prohibited by anyone other than the person or organization who did the chalking. Like, that seems unfair. Like, it's out in the public. We all have to see it. Why can't we all fuck with it?
Yeah, isn't that also free speech?
That's counter speech. If chalking is speech, then fucking up the chalk is counter speech.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you could just add to it. If you don't erase any of it, then it's fine, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
So that's counter speech.
It also says, though, chalking which violates University of Iowa policy, state, or federal law is prohibited, but there's no link or anything to say like what would violate. Yeah, even in the operations manual, it's not very specific. So yeah, I wonder where they draw the line. I imagine this may have been happening. I haven't been downtown in a bit, but if there are like chalkings like in support of Gaza and Palestinians, I would imagine that would be defaced most likely by some people. Oh, yeah. And I imagine no action would be taken against anyone who defaced it.
Yeah. And I guess I didn't really consider it. It is a public university, so I'm sure all these things come into effect. But yeah, there is some like very curious decisions being made about all of the focus is on like conservatives on campus are having their free speech rights infringed. Yeah. But it's like, if you the Gaza example is great. Like, that kind of speech is also being suppressed.
Of course.
In one way or another. Yeah, it's it's ridiculous.
This is like guidance coming from the top, the Board of Regents, and they're going to act like this is all like neutral, and they're not. It's not it's supporting all speech. It's to protect everyone's speech, but it obviously has an ideological bias because the people who are pushing this have a very clear interest in a certain viewpoint.
Mm-hmm. And it's like not an unpopular viewpoint either. Like, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so the other example of campus madness happened a couple hours from here at Grinnell College. And this was with another very important presidential candidate. A guy who's got a real shot. Vivek Ramaswamy spoke in Grinnell, Iowa. Grinnell is a very small college. To my knowledge, a very liberal campus as well.
Yeah.
Like more so than the university. Like this is where...
I think they call it the Yale of the Midwest or some shit, or maybe it's a different one. But yeah, it's probably the most like liberal college town in Iowa.
Mm-hmm. So Vivek spoke there, and there were some protesters yelling at him because, his campaign and the things that he says are awful and should be yelled at. But what really has drawn media attention is that his campaign has accused a student of intentionally crashing her car into a campaign vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
There's apparently a video of the person in this car yelling at and flipping off Vivek. And then following that incident, they had backed their car up and hit his campaign vehicle. So his campaign, because he also loves attention, and this whole campaign is just about like saying outrageous things, attracting as much media attention as possible. His campaign immediately pounced on this and said, "This is a person trying to suppress me, presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, because of my speech. They are attacking my vehicle, you know." And this is like a piece by Zach Spindler-Crage and Eleanor Corbin of the Grinnell student newspaper, The Scarlet and Black. They have investigated this a little bit, and according to their investigation, this really was accidental. This was not somebody intentionally backing a car into another car. And I would say, regardless of anything that anyone says, the physical evidence...
It doesn't do anything. Like, what is backing your car into someone supposed to accomplish?
Right. If someone really wanted to do damage, I'm showing you the image here. Like, this is the damage. The physical evidence of what happened is like their bumper got scratched up. Like, it's not nothing. But if I was intentionally trying to ram my car into another car, I think it would leave more of a mark than that. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let me read a bit from this Scarlet and Black article. The Grinnell College student accused of crashing her car into the back of a Vivek Ramaswamy presidential campaign vehicle on Thursday afternoon said it was an accident, not the purposeful crash national media, notably conservative outlets, first reported it to be. And this is also a couple weeks ago. This article came out on October 5th. Celia Megher is the accused student, and also says she was not affiliated with the protest group that had some sort of altercation with Vivek. And also she had been accused by conservative media of like doing a hit and run, like leaving the scene of the accident, which she didn't, like she stayed. And the Grinnell Police Department also released a statement that, corroborates what the student says. They have not found any evidence to substantiate the current narrative of this incident being intentional. So we have to assume that the Grinnell Police Department is bought and paid for by the liberal student body. Like they're, This is a woke police department. This is a quote from the Associated Press article about the incident. The headline of their article was "Protesters Angry About Ukraine Aid Comments Ram His Empty Car in Iowa Campaign Says." So this is why the protesters were upset, is that what were, I guess, Vivek Ramaswamy's comments about Ukraine aid? Probably just to cut it off, right?
Oh, yeah. He's like been one of the biggest people saying to completely cut off Ukraine aid.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, again, very funny thing to like get mad about.
A guy who also says that there are two genders. The nuclear family is like the only right way to live. Fossil fuels are 100% necessary to human thriving or whatever. Climate change is real but good.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, all this stuff is just like arguing, including like the Israel-Palestine stuff. It's like arguing weakness from a place of strength, which is like very much like a fascist like hallmark. It's like all these people, like I said, it's like these conservative, like you have like, half the country at least who would like identify that way.
Right.
And like, you're acting like you're constantly under siege. Like Vivek Ramaswamy can go where he pleases, and like the amount of pushback he gets is like
not nearly enough.
Obviously he's not not nearly enough. He's not that big of a figure, but like he's not suffering because of his speech. Like the people who are getting suffering because of their speech are like in Gaza or in countries all over the world. Like this is like first world problems.
Yeah, it says even in this article, which provides a lot of context. This is good work by these student reporters. Vivek is a billionaire. Like, he has $1 billion, and he's running for president, and he's probably at this point like a distant second place for the GOP nomination. Like, I think he's still ahead of Ron.
Yeah, close.
So, like, a couple of liberal college students in the middle of Iowa are not, shutting down Vivek Ramaswamy. Like, he
Yeah.
He has the means to get his message out, and he is doing so.
Yeah. It's just to shift the narrative to make them into victims when they're the ones doing the oppression. Like, it's terrible.
Right. Yeah. It also, this is relevant. He also has advocated for raising the voting age to 25. So a candidate who's trying to get attention by saying ridiculous things like that and then visiting a college town should expect some sort of vocal resistance, right? Like, I don't think most of the people in this town should be allowed to vote.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're probably going to receive some criticism for that view. So the statement from the campaign, as quoted by the Associated Press, says that protesters upset about Vivek Ramaswamy's remarks on aid for Ukraine yelled and swore at the presidential candidate in Iowa on Thursday before jumping into a vehicle, ramming a campaign car, and speeding off. Fox News specifically reported it as a hit and run. And the student here says that after the collision, they just sort of moved the car to the side and waited for the cops to show up. Damage has been cited at about $600 per vehicle. or is it $600 total? I'm not sure. The police report cites the damage amount at $600 per each vehicle estimation.
Would you even take your car into the shop if that happened to you? My answer is no.
No, I mean,
but
seeing
I
the
also
photographic
have driven
evidence.
a fucked up vehicle around for quite a while.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, seeing the photographic evidence of the damage here is like, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even need your information, really.
Yeah, if it's cosmetic, then like, I don't care, man. I genuinely don't care. I've cut people brakes before when I was not at fault.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and I mean the vehicle that was alleged to be like the weapon here is like probably a mid-2000s Honda something. And I imagine that the big SUV that the Vivek campaign is driving around can probably handle a little bump from a little Honda.
Oh, yeah.
There's also a follow-up article that was in Bleeding Heartland by Zach Spindler Crage. Zach, if you listen to this, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but that's just the treatment everyone gets here on this podcast.
Yeah, it happens to everyone.
And he goes like into even more detail about his investigation of this incident. But my favorite part, and I know this is just a podcast, but maybe I'll make this image here the episode art. He like drew. It's like a court sketch almost. Like
Ramaswamy parked illegally.
That's
Wait a
right.
second.
That's like the biggest revelation here is that the Vivek vehicle was parked illegally when this happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the student was parked across the street from where Vivek's vehicle was illegally parked, and they accidentally bumped his vehicle as they were backing out of their parking spot, is what has been suggested by a follow-up investigation of what happened.
Vivek says that cities need to be more walkable. That is what his solution to this is. We need to stop our dependence on cars, better public transportation to avoid these sort of fender benders from happening in the first place.
That's right. Fewer cars on the road. That's the way to stop this.
I commend him.
So that's just another great example of campus madness. The damn lib students are attacking someone just for his views.
Yeah. Which is bad. You have to, even if you disagree, you still have to, you have to be respectful towards your political opposition.
Yeah. I mean, what they cited in that article is that people were swearing and yelling at him. Oh no! Oh, God forbid! That's not speech anymore. If you're above a certain decibel threshold, that's no longer speech. It's shout. There's no free shout, just free speech. All right, I got one more story I wanted to touch on briefly. People may recall a friend of the show, Noah Peterson, who resident of Newton, Iowa, another place over there, not far from Grinnell, actually. This is very geographically close to the previous story. Noah, I interviewed him briefly on our show about a year ago, and he was arrested twice at Newton City Council meetings because he dared to say some unkind words about the mayor of Newton and the chief of police of Newton. And I happened to get video of that second arrest, which ended up being very important. So the reason that Noah was, I mean, he's been active in like criticizing city governments for years, but the reason that he was specifically criticizing the city council of Newton, the mayor, the police, is because they had a few months prior, possibly a whole year prior, I forget the dates on this, but a friend of his had been pulled over for no reason, treated as if he'd been driving drunk, but was not intoxicated in any way, and ended up being arrested for no reason, and was subjected to like really just over the top treatment from the Newton police. So
yep. All on video too.
Right, yeah. As anyone should, Noah went to the city council meetings and said that was bad and called them fascists and stuff, which, they objected to, which also, you don't want to be called a fascist, so you should probably not do things that make people think of you as a fascist, right? Well, Noah has filed a lawsuit against the city. The name of the case is Peterson v. City of Newton. He's being represented by the Institute for Justice. Do you know anything about this organization, Evan?
I do not.
Well, it's kind of like a libertarian nonprofit law firm.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, again, pick your allies where you can get them.
Yeah, they are, as far as I know, defending, or not. It's not even a defense. Like he is the one who filed the lawsuit, which makes him the
plaintiff.
Plaintiff. I'm very smart when it comes to this stuff. Anyway, I believe that they're doing this work for him pro bono, so I can't be too critical of them. But the Institute for Justice also has a long history of defending like school vouchers and stuff like that. So definitely not an across the board good, but I can appreciate them for defending my friend Noah's free speech rights.
Yeah, I mean, police abuse of power, libertarians generally like to they tack on to that one pretty quick.
Yeah, there's some crossover there. So they've released the Institute for Justice, that is, released a press release about this just the other day, October 12th. And yeah, they write here, Noah was born and raised in Newton, Iowa, a small town just outside of Des Moines. Last year, Noah became concerned with how the Newton Police Department was mistreating its citizens after a peer of his was harassed and falsely arrested. And it says here that he submitted a written statement that was completely ignored by the city council, and so that's why he started attending the meetings to make a public comment in person. Residents are given 3 minutes to speak about any topic they choose, and Noah went to the meeting on October 3rd, and when it was his turn, began to calmly read a pre-written statement, criticized the police department's practices and its continued employment of an officer who had been accused of domestic abuse. But as soon as he made these criticisms, and well before those 3 minutes were up, Mayor Michael Hansen started banging his gavel, ordered Noah to stop speaking, and called over Chief of Police Rob Burtis to forcibly remove Noah. So that was the first time. And then the second time was October 24th, and that's the one that I attended. So he called them fascists. I guess he didn't say that the first time. And as soon as he said that word, and I remember this, the mayor again started banging his gavel and immediately cut off Noah's public comment time. And he accused him of defaming the chief of police and making derogatory remarks about any individual. Apparently, you are not allowed to make derogatory remarks about anyone at all at Newton City Council meetings.
Are the other people who speak at the city council meetings been told that? Because there's a lot of derogatory comments being made at the average city council meeting.
Right. It's either like boring or derogatory. Those are the two options.
Someone is there to complain, about someone.
So this is where they refer to my video here, because the mayor suspended the meeting and cut the cameras. The police arrested Noah as he tried to leave the council chambers. After Noah was removed and before gaveling the meeting back into session, the mayor spoke to the public, proclaiming, "Go do your activism where somebody cares." And he knew I had a camera pointed straight at him as he said it, making it very clear that he was suppressing Noah's speech because of its content, right?
You cared.
That's true. Yeah, there's at least one person in the room who cared.
Yeah, some people care.
So then the rest of their press releases about how Noah's, constitutional rights had been violated. Really, I wanted to talk about this because of my own vanity. They've got a link to the actual filing here, the complaint here, filed with the United States District Court, Southern District of Iowa, Central Division. Noah Peterson v. City of Newton specifically mentions Michael Hansen, the mayor, and Rob Burdis, the chief of police. And on page 19, this lawsuit says, "Luckily, one of Noah's friends was recording on a cell phone camera from the audience. Justin K. Comer. Arrest at Newton City, Iowa City Council meeting, October 24th, 2022. And then there's a direct link to a YouTube video that I uploaded. So, as far as I know, this is the first time ever that my name has appeared in a lawsuit. And a link to my YouTube channel as well.
And I do want to say as well that the man who was originally arrested for blowing a 0.0, he is being sued by the Newton police for
Yes.
defamation.
Right.
Because again, it was video. It was all in video. It ended up on YouTube. There's all these like crime channels that post just police cam videos, and so it has like millions of views on YouTube. So they were not happy with the publicity, obviously, and again, they've decided to sue again, which didn't work when they tried it against Noah. And now,
Right, yeah,
I can't imagine that it's going to work. I mean, the guy didn't he was obviously like upset that he was being pulled over and arrested for being not intoxicated at all. And they were like dicks to him. So he was
I've been there.
a little testy,
Yeah.
but there's zero fucking grounds for a defamation lawsuit. Like,
he was also very young. I forget exactly how old this kid was.
He was a football player for the from William Penn University in Oskaloosa.
Mm-hmm.
So he was just a kid.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
And he admitted that he had smoked marijuana before, but not he's like not tonight. Like, I've smoked marijuana in the past, because they were like, I don't know, they just thought he was like fucked up. Just because he looked the type, I guess.
Yeah. If they see a teenager driving late at night, it's like, well, coin flip whether this person has anything in their system. So might as well pull them over and hope we can, get something on the books. Have I told you about the time I got pulled over? I think I was 20. This was by what's that like really shitty park in Cedar Rapids?
Which one?
Yeah. Daniels Park, right? Northeast side.
I don't even know that. Northeast side, yeah.
Yeah. I was driving there. It was probably, I don't think it was even that late. Like not even 10 p.m. yet. And I got pulled over. I might have had a tail light out or something. Because I when I was a young man driving around Cedar Rapids, I usually had at least one light out on my Hyundai Accent. And you know me. I don't partake in any of the substances at all. So it's like, pretty safe when I get pulled over. Like, they're not going to be able to get me on anything like that.
Yeah, but it's a good feeling.
But
to be pulled over and not have anything on you.
Right, yeah. She pulled me over and started talking to me, and she was like, she said she smelled weed, and I was like, I don't think you do. Like, I've never had any weed in this car. Like, it had been my car for at least 2 or 3 years at that point. So it's like, it couldn't have been a previous owner that left weed in here recently, We're also right next to Daniels Park, where a lot of drug deals happen. So maybe, but she was pretty insistent that she smelled weed, and I was like, no, you don't. And this was like the first time I'd ever been like in this situation where I know my rights. I was like, 20-year-old civil libertarian.
Yeah, there you go.
And she was like asking if she could search the car. And I remember specifically what I said. I was like, am I required to say yes? And she said, well, no. And I was like, then no. I got a little testy too. Like I try to be careful because you never know when cops could go off. But, as a white man, you do have a little more leeway. They tend to.
Did they, did she search?
No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Usually, once they even imply it, it's like a foregone
she was
conclusion, but
making up probable cause, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I smell it. And I know damn well she doesn't smell anything.
Hard to disagree, or, yeah. I had a similar situation, except she definitely did smell weed, and I didn't do it.
Yours didn't go as well, yeah.
It didn't go as well. But there's been other times where I was carrying something and I, was pretty polite and didn't get in any trouble at all.
Nice.
It's some white privilege for sure. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Do you want to listen to? We can get through some voicemails real quick. I don't think I'm gonna play all of any of these.
Okay, sure.
These are some friends of ours screwing around. If you would like to call us, we have a phone number 319-849-8733. Or if it's easier for you to remember, that number is also 319-TI98P.
I saw that in the episode notes and had a good chuckle.
Yeah. Actually, before I play any of these, we also have a P.O. Box. P.O. Box 5336 in Coralville, Iowa, 52241. We recently received a couple of nice postcards designed by artist Tabitha Arnold from listener Alyssa. So if you would like to share any cool little pieces of art with us, P.O. Box 5336 in Coralville. All right, so let's get to these voicemails. The first one is from a repeat caller. We've heard from him many times.
Rock Carter, it's Iowa's only Democrat and state auditor, Rob Sand. It's been 12 days since I last called you. I've managed to find a reprieve in the varied industries building.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say the date on this call is August 29th, so I let this one sit for quite a bit, so sorry, Rob.
I'm so terrified, podcasters. I was right last time. I am being chased. It's the Caitlin Clark Butter statue. I know you're not going to believe me, but as I run through the fairgrounds trying to find a way out, I keep feeling its eyes on me. When I turn to look, it's always there. No matter how far I run, I can always see it behind me. Just standing there. I don't see it move, it just appears in the distance. Rock Harders, I looked into its eyes yesterday. I got within 3 yards before I got too scared. There was an intelligence in its eyes. It knew. I could not see rage or hatred or love or joy, but I could see understanding. It knew me, and I was instantly aware that I could never know what it knew. That's what scares me the most, my fellow co-host. It could chase me for decades, but I will never comprehend it, never counter it, never escape it. No. Now, it's in here with me. I know it. It's here. Toodles!
Yeah, Rob, that's concerning. We haven't heard from him since this call, so honestly, I suspect the worst.
I didn't follow any of it. I was trying to understand him, but it's a little too nasal.
Well, I can
understand. It might be better on your end.
Yeah, it may be over Zoom. Not the greatest audio quality. He had been pursued by the Caitlin Clark butter sculpture And if you recall this has been a while, but the previous call we got from Rob, he seemed to be trapped in some sort of alternate dimension version of the Iowa State Fairgrounds.
Yeah. And I've seen that Caitlin Clark butter sculpture, and it's frightening.
Oh, so, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Humans should not be made out of butter. Cow will allow it, but should not be making human sculptures out of butter.
Yeah.
And it's unfair to the humans that you're portraying.
I just want to say that while we have been recording this podcast, though we haven't received any more calls from Rob, I did get an email from Rob Sand, and the header is separating fact from fiction.
I got that one too. I thought he was going to talk about BDS. He's been on the record on that one. He fully supports the Iowa BDS law that we discussed earlier.
Yep, sure does. But I just want to make it clear we only deal in fact here on this program. So that phone call you just heard from State Auditor Rob Sand, 100% fact, no fiction at all. We also separate fact from fiction here.
I do like the idea of like a night in the museum sort of movie, but set at like the Iowa State Fair. I think that would be fun. Like you're trapped on the fairgrounds after hours. Mm-hmm. Like, because there's some demonic shit happening on those grounds at night.
Definitely. Yeah. No good. Here's another voicemail.
A good way to start your message is to say who you are. The person you're trying to reach is not available. You're on the air, and please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up. Go.
7718 is not available. Please leave your
stay on
message
the line
after the
while
tone.
your call is transferred to the operator.
After you have finished your message, just hang up. Or to hear more options, please press...
All right. We'll let that one go. Feel free to use our number as part of a group of numbers that you call all at the same time and record the results. Always fun it's a real test of your perception of reality when you hear all that at once.
Yeah. If you want to send us any Longmont Potion Castle type voicemails too, that would be fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. I definitely encourage that. All right. One more.
Captain. Yes, sir. Tell them we wish to board at once. With all due respect, the ambassadors for the Supreme Chancellor wish to board immediately. Yes, of course, as you know, our blockade is perfectly legal, and we'd be happy to receive the ambassadors. I'm TC-14 at your service. This way, please. We are greatly honored by your visit, ambassadors. Make yourselves comfortable. My master will be with you shortly. I have a bad feeling about this. I don't sense anything. It's not about the mission, master. It's something elsewhere. Elusive.
All right. Do you recognize any of that?
No.
That's from the script of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Okay, so yeah, that's why I didn't recognize it. It's been I saw that in theaters when I was a kid. I don't think I've seen it since then. Maybe part of it.
I saw it in theaters, and then my dad got from somebody he worked with a cam recording of it. So
nice.
I watched it repeatedly on the family computer afterwards.
Man. Shout out to the people still doing cam rips in 2023. They're out there. I accidentally downloaded a cam rip of Oppenheimer because I didn't realize I have a sonar setup or radar, whatever, software to automatically download totally legal materials. I didn't realize I added it, and I just was like, what the fuck is this? And it's just a horrible 3-hour cam rip of Oppenheimer, which I did not watch. Wait for the actual Blu-ray.
Yeah. If you want to call in and do some script reading, that's also totally allowed. I would suggest doing so from a good movie. So not Star Wars Episode 1, but something more akin to Star Wars Episode 9, something like that. Keep a certain threshold of quality.
See, I haven't seen those either. I saw Force Awakens. That was all I needed, really. Didn't really care.
It's a good place to stop.
Yeah, I got the nostalgia without having to get the rest of the destroying whatever. I don't know what people are mad about, honestly. I know people are mad about it. I know that you're not a fan.
No. Yeah, you know,
That's
as embarrassing as it is, that last movie did make me legitimately mad. Like, it's so bad. I didn't mind The Last Jedi too much, but I definitely was not super invested. And then Rise of Skywalker is, I'll go on record, the worst Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Even better, worse than the holiday special? I guess it's not a movie.
So.
It's like a made for
That was
TV.
a TV special, yeah. Honestly, the Star Wars holiday special has a more coherent narrative than The Rise of Skywalker.
All right.
Yeah, well, that'll do it for us. If you'd like to call 319-849-8733, 319-TI98P. That's the phone number. Call us anytime, day or night, and in a month and a half, we'll play your message on air. I've got some music shows coming up in Indianapolis, the Chicago area, and right here in Iowa City. If you want the details, go to justinkcomer.com/shows. And speaking of music, we've got some music from our good friend Natalie's daughter, Scout. She made some music a few months ago, and I forgot that I had it. So sorry, but here it is to close out today's episode. Music from Natalie's daughter. And if you make music as well and would like your music to be featured on this show, go to rockhardcock.us, and near the top, there's a button or a link to submit your music. And I would love to hear it and put it on the show. All right, thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.